our monthly meeting of the Board of Adjustment. While we are having to change how we operate, we are still committed to a transparent process and encouragement of public comment during our meetings. We will be accepting testimony from parties. If you wish to testify on any particular petition before us this evening using the Zoom platform, please use the raise hand feature. You can raise your hand at any time and we will recognize you at the appropriate time for the presentation of evidence for each case. If in person, like you all, please stand, please hand staff, wait a minute. Please hand to the staff your speaker's card. The senior planner, Travis Newberry, will be moderating the hybrid meeting and will be asked to provide names of those individuals that wish to speak. Again, as hands are raised or as read from the speaker's card. I'd like to call the meeting of the City of Wildwood's Board of Adjustment to order. The board members present tonight are Bob Morris, board member, Kevin Lux, board member, Jim Van Ness, board member, myself, board member, and hopefully soon Jared Frank, who will be here shortly. The Department of Planning staff present is Mr. Joe Vunich, Director of Planning, Mr. Travis Newberry, Senior Planner, and Ms. Robin Keefe, Planner. City Attorney John Young and Court Reporter Courtney Tallman are also present. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so first I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to tonight's meeting, November 17th, 2022, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing and establishing the Board of Adjustment's powers and duties. Now, let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware the information I'm about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment public hearing procedure handout, which was available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This hearing is informal in its nature. However, the meeting's proceedings will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As a petition is called, Mr. Frank will also ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then the petitioner or his or her representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance, and present such evidence and witness testimony that may evidence the practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship that warrant the variance. The board will only consider the unique character of the property to determine whether they warrant the granting of a variance. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there is anyone present or online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the requested variance. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then provide their evidence or oral testimony. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional evidence or testimony. The board may also continue the proceedings. After the submission of testimony and evidence from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter, if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating in person or online. Once all witnesses have been heard, the chair will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions, then the board will vote. At that time, the presentation of evidence relating to the petition is concluded and no further evidence will be permitted. The board may make a decision today. 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the variance for it to be approved. If the variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Mr. Newberry, are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, at this time, the meeting will proceed, and I will officially hand off the meeting to Mr. Frank. You're up.
Thank you, Ariane. Good. Thank you. Sorry again, guys.
Quite all right, sir. If the board is ready, the department will read the first request into tonight's record. Again, my apologies to the petitioner if I say the name incorrectly. First case is BA 31-22 Sayad El Farde, 1404 Wild Foxfire Lane, Wildwood, Missouri 63038. Requests an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of constructing a 4-car detached garage, which is approximately 48 feet by 25 feet in size, or 1,076 square feet in area upon the property located at 1404 Wild Foxfire Lane. Locator number 21W120062, Babbler Hills, Plat 3, Lot 31, which would authorize a front yard setback of 4 feet in lieu of the 50-foot standard from the private roadway easement, parenthetical Wild Foxfire Lane. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban District Regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance. This particular site is located in Ward 1. Before Ms. Keefe provides the slide presentation with the chair's permission, the department would also like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Zoning Ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, members of the board, any items that are offered as evidence as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Keith. We'll go ahead and do the brief slide presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Our first case this evening. Oh, yes, I can. Yep, right. Our first case this evening involves a parcel of ground located in northwestern Wildwood, just south of Babbler Park Drive, which is a state-maintained highway. The property is zoned non-urban residence district. It is 3.2 acres in size, and it's located in the Babbler Hills subdivision. The property is partially wooded to the northwest, and then the southeastern portion of it is grassy turf area. It is surrounded on 3 sides by roadway, including our state highway, Babbler Park Drive, and then a privately maintained roadway, Wild Foxfire Lane. There is some slope to the property to the rear of the existing residence, and I'll talk about that in a minute. However, the southeastern portion of the property is relatively flat. On the property is an existing single-family dwelling, along with an attached 2-car garage, a pool house, and a swimming pool. There are 2 entrances to the drive of the private residence from Wild Foxfire Lane, and both are gated. The petitioner this evening is requesting to build a 4-car garage within the front yard setback of the residence. In the non-urban residence district, the front yard is defined, or the front yard setback is defined as 50 feet away from any from the front yard property line or a private roadway easement, like in this case. So what you see before you on your screens is a green line that represents the edge of that 25-foot easement. And the pink line represents what 50 feet away from that easement would be. The petitioner in this case is requesting to be 4 feet away from that easement. This is the north and west elevation of the proposed garage. Sorry, and this is the east and south elevation of it. The garage is, as was stated in the agenda language, 1,076 square feet in area total. This is the existing 2-car garage that is attached to the primary dwelling. And this is the approximate location of the proposed detached 4-car garage. This is the front of the residence facing northwest. And this is the eastern ingress egress from Wild Fox Fire Lane and the gate. This is looking to the southwest. This is looking towards the front yard of the residence, looking southeast. Wild Fox Fire Lane wraps around this area. Here I can use my pointer, like so. This is the second gated entrance. Thank you. This is facing northwest. This is to the eastern side of the residence. And this is in the rear yard facing southwest. We're looking at the pool house and the swimming pool. And this is behind the pool house structure, still in the rear yard. This is the pool house in this photo. We're looking northwest. From the driveway turnaround area. The attached garage is to our right, if we're facing this direction, or east. Now we are standing on Wild Fox Fire Lane, looking northwest. Also looking northwest. And moving closer to that approximate location. There have been 2 similar variance requests in this general area. One was denied for an addition to a garage that would have encroached in the side yard setback. The other one was approved. However, in that case, there was no existing garage on the site in question. There is for public support for the request, there are 2 residents that have voiced opposition and 1 resident and trustee of the homeowners association that has voiced support for the request. And this concludes the department's presentation on this matter. We are available for questions. Senior Planner Newberry, myself, and Director Vunich. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, we'll call the petitioner forward. Please state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Saeed El Faridi. I'm the owner of the 1404 Wild Fox Fire Lane. I have my architect to explain better process, if it's okay with you.
Absolutely. In your relationship to the property
I'm the owner.
Yes. And then it's Courtney on. We'll get you sworn in, and then we'll go with your architect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Courtney.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
Mr. Alfredi.
you're welcome.
Your name, sir?
I'm Stephen Feeler. I'm with the architectural firm of FSA Feeler S Architects in Kirkwood. And Saeed asked us to be the architect for his project. And we greatly were very excited about his project because he is in need of an expansion.
Just a moment, we'll get you sworn. I apologize for
Sorry.
cutting you. No, go ahead. Courtney, if we'd swear him in as well, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Okay, well, when we were asked to come out to Siad's house, there's a beautiful setting and we were excited about his garage expansion project. And we looked at the site and where he had chosen to put the new building, we thought was a very good location because of the adjacency to the house, the closeness to the house for security reasons. This garage, if you were there on a day that the cars that couldn't fit into the garage were there, his daughter's car is on the driveway, and this would be partially to house her car. And so we thought the location was good. We left there, we went and got the site plan, and we saw the encroachment on the side setback. And we realized the setback is there, and the setting of the house is such that we're going to go, if we can go back to the one that shows the front door, well, the site plan's good too. But if you can visualize here, the yellow is the driveway, the hashing is the house, and at the end of that hashing of the house is his current garage, with the garage doors facing to that yellow side. And when he asked us if he could put a garage, approximately 40 feet from that to the other side of the driveway, we thought it was a very good solution, again, for safety, compatibility of design to the house and to the economics of building, another structure on this site. And so, yes, we do encroach on the setback. It's our knowledge that the minor road that goes past there, that goes to the other neighbor's house, that they do not actually use that road. Their main egress and ingress into the site is from the state highway on the Babler Road. So again, if we could do a shot, please, of the front of the house. Yes. And so just picture, if you can, our new garage structure would look identical to the existing garage that you see there, with the two windows, with the pitched roof, with the brick and the siding. And just picture that image, moving to the left, and we would reproduce that image. And we just thought it was compatible to the site that we weren't producing another building that looked like an outbuilding. And I know it's been suggested that maybe the building, that we could place it further back to basically that tree line, and then you would have a full frontal of a garage that had garage doors. And we just felt it wasn't as pleasing as where we would like to put it now. And it seemed to work with the design, the overall design of the layout of the buildings that were on the site. And as mentioned before too, there is a pool house to the backside of this garage, and putting a garage structure back there, I think, visually there could be some. You've got a picture, well, to the pool house, which is towards the back, the upper portion of that yellow area. But the picture of looking at the pool house, please. Yeah, and envision the garage now being, parallel to the front of that peaked structure there, and with the two garage doors facing towards the public side. And we just felt our location was more compatible with the site and was less obtrusive and definitely less economical impact to Said and his family. Because picture now, we have to put paving, extend all the paving now to the northwest there and take up more green space. Our solution had less green space affected by the impact of building a new garage structure. And I had a comment too, which is not regarding the architecture, but it said there was some opposition to this. And I know that Syed had all of his trustees have signed for it. So we were a little bit confused by that.
Looks like another.
The opposition was on the remote location, not within. the
Okay.
city.
Gotcha.
I kind of figured something to that effect, yeah.
That is correct. They are residents from within that notification area, but they are not directly on that street.
Syed has neighbors to the right here. During the summertime, their views into that area are pretty much no view. The resident that's to the lower side of the site plan is down a large hillside ravine, so there's no visual contact that way. And then again, the resident that's behind Syed is, they said that they will only use that side road in an emergency situation. They access their residence from the main road.
That document held up. What, you have that document? I don't know that I've seen that. Is it in here?
Which one?
The document you held up with some signatures.
This-
Do you mind explaining what that is?
Yeah.
The trustees.
All the way.
Gotcha.
Well,
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite understand what you said. It's from the trustees of that subdivision, correct?
Yeah.
And how many homes are in the subdivision?
There's 5 homes. The four-
Everybody's a trustee?
No. We
Oh,
got
okay.
three trustees.
3 trustees, okay.
2 trustees, they live in one residence. They live in one house. 1419. And then one trustee live at 1415. He's actually with me today. And then the other 2, they're not trustees, but they're residents. So we have 5 residents, including us. So we had to go and talk to each one of them. They all agree and sign. The one that sits in the back, that if they use that road in emergency situations,
Mhm.
she signed that. And then they have their own driveway from the Bevler.
On Babler Park Drive here.
Yes.
So do you have, just to help us understand in terms of those that are supportive and those that are not, there's a property right to the north of you, and I'm looking at the map here or the aerial, 1129, there's a couple to the, I guess that would be west, and then there's one to the south, 1403. Are any of those signatures?
Yes,
Okay, which ones are in support and which
all of them.
All of his neighbors are in support, all the people of the subdivision.
literally the ones that are adjacent
Mhm.
are in support? Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you consider? I mean, this is like really out of compliance, okay, because you're so close to the easement line,
Mhm.
okay, not the property boundary necessarily, but to the easement line. Did you look at putting the building somewhere else? I mean, I know all things being equal, you'd love to put it right there,
Mhm.
but putting it right there means that you're deep into the area that you're not supposed to be in, okay? So have you really looked at putting it some other place?
Right. Yes, we have. And again, we just thought this was compatible architecturally to the existing buildings that were there. And And we thought it looked like it was maybe something that was planned from the very beginning. You know, it wasn't, to us, it didn't look like another outbuilding positioned, you know, further away from the house. Right now, you know, his daughter will be able to park right across from the entrance to the garage and not have to walk, you know, down that another 50 feet to a building structure during weather. And, you know, now additional lighting will have to be put in at the site just to light that additional area to a new building. Again, we just thought architecturally, site-wise, it fit in very well to the site. But yes, we have looked at other options.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the petitioner or his representatives from the board?
Yeah, quick question. When was the pool house built? Because if I'm looking at the overhead map, it looks like it's from maybe 2019, but it's not showing up on there.
I couldn't speak to that. Yeah.
Okay, does he happen to know?
Saeed, who was the pool house built?
We have to redo some of the concrete. 2018.
May 18th?
Yes.
Okay. So if we could pull up the overhead, so if I'm reading that map there, right, the pool house sort of comes up on the corner there, so that area that is green now actually has part of
Yeah,
the pool
right
house on it.
there. Uh-huh.
Okay, so it wouldn't be possible to move it straight back. The pool house would be in the way of that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, you could, you just have to, it'd be a lot more invasive. Let's put it that way.
Right,
Correct?
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, this photograph, this aerial, you know, we want it to be right here, which is adjacent to the existing residence and garage. It still has a view to the pool area, and people can pull in and go in this garage or go in that garage. And to place it, you know, further back, yeah, we're gonna now take away additional green area just for concrete or asphalt. And even though the trees are showing in this aerial, we're not affecting any trees or vegetation. It's similar to this grass here is identical to this area here.
Any other questions from the board?
So one of the requirements whenever a variance request comes before us is that there's a practical difficulty. And I know sometimes that's like, well, what does that mean? Okay. If you could think about the practical difficulty in this particular project, you've spent a fair amount of time, and I understand that aesthetically it would maybe look better, or it would be more convenient, or it'd be less expensive. But if I understand correctly, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a practical difficulty. If you had like a cliff behind there, that would be a practical difficulty. Okay. But you don't have that. So help us understand, as you bring your variance, you know, before the board, what is the practical difficulty here?
Well, I think it's, you know, I go back to, you know, if practical difficulty, you know, what does that mean? Architecturally, I think what we're doing enhances not only for Saeed, but for the area, the residents around him. Okay, it's just, like I said earlier, it looks like something that was planned from the beginning, as opposed to this now putting another building somewhere else on the site. So I can't, you know, cite any practical hardship or anything. It's other than it's going to be more money. You know, it's going to be considerable more money, and we are going to eat up more green space. You know, the lots are 3 acres plus, but you know, everybody seems to want more green, and this one gives him what he wants: a new structure to house additional cars, particularly his daughter's car, and we think it works well with this with the site. You know, but yeah, I can't state a hardship other than it's going to cost more money. It's going to look like another outbuilding, and safety concern to the house. It's further away. So, you know, that's what an architect looks at. And Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not, it's buildable on this site forever, okay? But I think for the reasons that we've stated, it seems to work very well here. And, what are we affecting on the backside of the site here when, the neighbors are, they're 3-acre lots, and the main entrance to the neighbor to the northwest, they have access from Babbler Road. That's their main entrance. So this would only be used in an emergency situation.
So
If I may, excuse me, I walked that property today. I parked up on the cul-de-sac and walked the entire back to the blacktop side road ends at the neighbor behind them, and then it's just gravel in their backyard, a little spot. But when we see the 4 foot, that's from the green line from the easement. It's not 4 foot from the pavement. It's going to be much more than that. What you haven't addressed, which you need to, is that seeing the 25-foot side with the brick and the peak is much more in size with the house than seeing a big 48-foot long building rotated 90 degrees.
And
So
that-
put the proportion to the house, it'd be I think Wildwood would end up with a much better situation, seeing the 25-foot brick and frame peak
Mhm.
being just a mirror image of the garage that's already there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, when we pulled up, not knowing all the specifics of the site, and me and my associate from my office were like, Saeed, once you put a garage on, man, right here is the best place for it. It's adjacent to the house. We'll repeat that elevation for sure. We're not going to create another, pool house looking structure. We're going to have something that looks exactly like his garage that is there now. And it's more in line with a lot of the higher end houses that are done now, that you actually drive between the 2 garages and there's a porte cochere and everything. But we just thought it was a natural, but then the site plan came and we saw the realities of it. And we did look at other locations, but to us, like you said, to see a 48-foot elevation versus a 22 is, we just still believe in the compatibility and architecturally, the way this works with the rest of the house setting.
Well, my point is, in a perfect world, we want everything to meet all the ordinances and all the lines. But I think if we approve this, Wildwood's getting a much better presentation, and so are the neighbors. The neighbors will all be looking at it. You and I will.
To see a full view into the garage are the 2 that are located to the right here. And during most of the seasons of the year, they have foliage that you can't even, see to that, to that area. We just thought it was a natural. We can use a lot of his driveway that is there. We don't have to spend more money and take away more green space with more asphalt. And I think that it just works much better than having a new outbuilding structure.
to that effect, it's your opinion that to push it back to this green space here, you then have to rotate. So by chance, this neighbor does use this drive, they come down here and they stare into 3, it looks like a double door and a single door. They'd see the 3 bays if you had to push that back and rotate it,
Oh, yeah.
because there is no way to push it back and keep what would be a side entrance garage.
Right, right.
So at this point, to Mr. Van Ness' point is if there's a prettier side to a garage, I think it's the brick, the solid, correct. That's what I think we're saying. Okay. Any other questions? The petitioner or his representative? All right, thank you. At this time, if there's a desire, I'm sorry, skipped one. Any speakers in the audience that may want to speak in favor or opposition to the request? Yes, sir. If you could please come forward. If I can have you just give us your name, address.
My name's Harry Barnhart. I live at 1415 Wild Fox Fire. And I think it needs to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, relationship to the property, and then we'll get you sworn in.
Okay.
Been a while since we had a speaker in person, so I apologize. Courtney, if you could,
Well, did he
Name.
say his relationship to the property?
we'll start name,
Harry Barnhart,
address,
1415 Wallafox Park.
and relationship to the property,
Just, relationship,
neighbor and trustees,
neighbor.
and then we'll get you sworn in here.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed.
One thing I think that we should bring out here is that if we could put that back up there showing the property, the road that runs back of his house services just one lot. Oh, there we go, right there. You have a pointer or something? Anyhow, see the lower road there?
Mhm.
This road right there. That road services the lots. You see it back in the back. Okay, now they have their own private driveway down to BA. So they don't, there it is right there. Yeah, they don't use that road that we're talking about here. We've talked to those people and made sure they'll, understand what was going on. But, and what's not very known here, the other three lots are right down here in the right-hand corner. Okay, right in that area there. That lot is just back of his garage. That's Bill Lang's lot. No, so come back right there. That's Bill Lang's lot. He's actually, his house is down facing Pond Road. His driveway's off of Pond Road. We don't even ask it. He gets no assessment because road's not useful to him. It's almost uphill to him. He can't see anything from down below. He's way down at the bottom of the hill.
Mhm.
But there's no traffic on that road. No, none whatsoever. Now, the first house right below the hand, that house, my house is in the middle on the right, and then another house is on the left. We only use the road up to the cul-de-sac where it turns around.
Mhm.
And so I just think it needs to be known that there's 99.9% of the traffic and neighborhood is not even using that one road. So there's very little exposure to anybody not being happy with, even with what it looked like or where it was, to be honest, So, and the man's lived there for 3 or 4 years now. He's been a good neighbor. And he's just he's had a broke-in. They don't have room for all their automobiles. One night they were broken into, some stuff was stolen out of their cars. And that, I would assume that this is why he's got to thinking, I need somewhere to lock up my cars and keep everything. And you wouldn't think that would happen out here, but it happens everywhere. Y'all know, y'all aware of that.
So is this you?
I'm in the right,
This is
right
you.
there. That's my house.
Okay. Do these two properties use this road to get?
Yeah.
in? They do. And you only use it to there?
They don't use that road at all. Nobody uses that road at
Nobody
all.
uses this.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all just come in.
Yeah, and the only reason we still assess the property on the back is because that's the way the subdivision was laid out. And they do use it in the wintertime when we plow the hill. They've got a pretty steep hill on their little road out to Babbler Park. So they assess the full amount so that they can get out and have a way in and out when we plow the road. They don't have to worry about their little road. So they're the only ones that use it. None of the other neighbors use that part. Just thought I'd bring that up.
Any other comments?
I'm sorry,
Anything else?
no, any questions?
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Any other members of the audience that want to speak in favor or opposition to the request? Seeing none. Would anybody like to hear an oral presentation of the department's report? Seeing none, we'll give Ms. Keefe opportunity to make any final comments. Or Director Vunich.
All right, the Department of Planning is recommending denial in this case. Primarily, it has to do with the sheer size of the building and proximity to the roadway. I would say is the key reason from the department's perspective. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Ms. Keefe. I know it's there. Okay, apparently it's not being used, but that wild Foxfire Lane, if that weren't there, would the garage, would it be okay? I mean, it's not encroaching on any. Because what I'm trying to say is from the property line, I guess, there's a 30-foot setback on the side, right? Is that right? Okay,
That's correct.
yeah, so
This garage has a corner at 29 feet. There'd be one little corner.
there'd be
over
a
the 30
foot if that road,
If that road was not there,
if it wasn't there and
it
it,
would combine, it would go with the non-urban zoning. Almost. You move the garage up 1 foot, it'd be there.
I mean, I know we're doing the what if thing, but I think it's interesting that it seems like the spirit of, you know, what these zoning ordinances are all about is to provide kind of protection for those who traverse the road, people having to maybe look at this structure as they enter and leave. This is just a rather interesting case where, yeah, there's a road there, but nobody uses it. And so you have the things that you're trying to protect against. I don't want to say they're moot or they don't matter, but in a way they kind of don't matter because no one's there. I mean, no one's using it. So I'm not saying it means that it's all okay. It just seems interesting that.
To begin with, when the subdivision plat is drawn, there's no houses, so they came up with the 5 lots and they provided access to all the 5 lots per a road. Then as it turned out, the ones on the Pond Road side, you're going down a mountain, so those houses won't access the road. And then the only one that would access it is the one in the back, and they chose to go off of Babbler Park. So it was all designed on what could happen, but it didn't all happen. For 10 years, I do subdivision plats, so.
Any other final comments for or from the department? Yeah, absolutely, Director Venus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the board, if there is an inclination to support this variance, I would ask that the board not reference the fact that the architect has said that this is primarily for economic reasons and that there are other locations on the site that accommodate it. Those are 2 key characteristics that usually negate a variance request. And in terms of the department's recommendation, there may be no property owner to protect, but there is the integrity of the law, which is a key component of our recommendation. And so from that perspective, I would have hoped that the petitioner would have cited other reasons in support of their variance than the 2 that ultimately caught the attention of the department. So again, if you're inclined to vote for it, reference, please, something other than the 2 citations the architect provided. Thank you.
Any other final comments from the board?
I just want to say that the planning department did their due diligence. That's their job to come up with what the ordinances are and what the things are. So they did exactly what they are supposed to do. And then it's our job if we want to change it.
Right. Before we close the proceeding, based on Director Vunich's comments there, if I may ask to just go back, is any other comments from the petitioner? Anything else you would like to add? We heard some concerns of security, lighting. Does the petitioner want to elaborate on maybe a few of those factors a little bit more? You don't mind coming up, please, so we have you on the.
When I mentioned, there were several reasons, but I think the predominant reason was when we approached the site. And again, me and one of my employees, when we came to Syed's house, we'd never been there before. And as we pulled up, we're just like, we're hoping that he wants to put it here. Okay. So the reason why I mentioned economics was, it goes without saying, if you push it farther away from the house, we're going to affect more green space. He's going to spend more money. But the predominant thing was architecturally, aesthetically, when we pulled up, we thought that's where it needed to be. We didn't think he was going to build an addition to the garage and build it out, because there's only one way to go, and that's towards the large front yard. We can't go back towards the pool house. So, monetarily, yes, it's going to be more money, but it wasn't the overriding reason that we had when we came there to look at what Said wanted us to do. So.
Thank you. Yeah, for me personally, the money thing doesn't resonate at all, because that's not part of what we think about. Not to be disrespectful or anything, it's just not one of the factors. But I am kind of curious, Jim, you were talking about, you felt like, it's kind of a better answer. It's a better solution aesthetically or for the city. Help me understand that.
For the benefit of the subdivision, the gentleman back there and the other residents that look at it are gonna be seeing just a matching front to the house, instead of seeing a great big 48-foot long row of garage doors. I think for the neighbors, it's a much better aesthetic thing to see in their neighborhood. And evidently they did too by signing. Now, I think the city of Wildwood is getting a better situation there also. Granted, there's precedent about making a variance, but that's our job is to decide when a variance is warranted and when it's not.
So, and I don't want to debate, I just want to kind of.
If you go out there and you say, where can we build a 4-car garage? It's a no-brainer. Other than the fact that we have those lines there. That's where, and the architect will agree, that's where it should be. It's just that we have a little problem with the easement. And if the easement wasn't there, and we went by the zoning, which was a 30-foot thing, we could move the garage 1 foot, and it would be 30 foot from the property line.
And it would be in compliance.
And it would be in compliance. They wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, right. Sure. No,
But when they drew up the subdivision plat, they put a blacktop road there and an easement, which turned out being for nothing. So that's my reasoning on.
Sure. No, I get that. I guess the question is, because they can build it in compliance today, they could, but that would require them putting it in a different place.
Well, I'm with you. I don't care about the money, but it's just not going to be as good a result.
Right. So when, again, those are all kind of perspectives and so forth. If it's a better result or not. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. But I guess the question is, at what point do you say, we're going to punt the regulations that the city has diligently worked toward, just because we think it's going to be aesthetically nicer? I mean, I think that's kind of, if I understand.
No,
that's your comment is, it looks better. It sure would be nicer here, but we'd have to punt. We'd have to grant the variance. And
well,
right.
Obviously, I'm for granting the variance.
Yeah, no,
that should be obvious by now.
It is.
I mean, I don't. If you go out there, any other place of putting that garage is going to not be as good as the results as if we approve it.
Okay.
And this board exists strictly for cases like this. I mean, otherwise, we don't need this, and we'll just say no on everything. So it's our decision. That's our job to decide whether this one counts or not for an acceptance of the variance.
Mhm. So Jim, you seem to know a lot about how subdivision plats get kind of put together. Wait, let me finish. If you don't mind. Who grants who grants these easements? Who grants them?
When that subdivision plat is drawn up, then it is recorded with St. Louis County.
Right.
And that easement becomes an easement.
Can the easements be vacated?
Yes. Yes.
So if this easement isn't even being used, is there a mechanism to just say, okay, we're getting rid of this?
Yes, there is. Joe can explain to you how that works. Or Mr. Boone can explain to you.
Yeah, right.
Please, Director Nucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Sperger, there is a process in our subdivision and development regulations that allows for the vacation of an easement for roadway purposes. The only proviso to that is that all holders of right to that easement, which would be the 5 lots that are part of the plat, have to agree to the vacation. It can't just be 1 or 2, the way the code reads. It has to be all that have rights. And when the plat was recorded, all the lots were given rights.
Okay, thank you. And I know we're not supposed to be problem solvers here, but I'm just trying to think, is there a way to, still provide a way for this garage to be built? Because we'd love for you to have that garage. I mean, it seems like it makes sense. But yet not mess with the ordinances so much. And when I look at how many are, it looks like there's just like 5 or 6 lots that would need to quote vacate that easement. I mean, is that even practical there's just not that many, and it sounds like you have the support. Would it make sense to just do that?
Well, again, from the trustee's testimony, the one property owner does use it during inclement weather because the access out to Route BA or Babbler Park Drive is on a slope or grade. So certainly there's an approach that might work, vacating the 50-foot wide easement as established by St. Louis County and doing something of a lesser degree. But again, it's very difficult to vacate things in an existing subdivision. It just takes one person to say, well, I really don't think it's necessary, and not participate, and all the efforts are for naught.
Thank you.
Please go ahead. Come with the microphone. Sorry.
That person that used that road in emergency situations,
Mhm.
they already agreed and signed. They agreed that,
They agree.
they're not
How in the
refusing.
world would you know that?
I mean,
We're just talking about it tonight.
No, I think he
I'm
go
talking
ahead.
about the person that he mentioned used that road.
agreed to what? We've got a
for
couple
us
different
That we can build a garage.
Oh, yeah.
in this current, in the
Yes,
current
in the current setting.
Not-
Okay.
Yeah.
So nobody's refusing in our subdivision.
I believe the process that they're referring to would be a little more in depth and would remove a few more rights. So we don't know how they'd feel about that, but I think
And
we
then
can
my-
assume that that's another layer that they may not be comfortable with.
And another thing is the major thing for me is, I don't wanna build a garage somewhere else where it's gonna be far away from the house for safety reason. I have my daughter.
Mhm.
And we have situation where, we've been, broken into my car. So we wanna be safe. We wanna build a garage next to the garage that exists in right now. So moving back to the woods, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be more concrete, it's gonna be just not gonna look equal to what the house looked like.
Regardless of the process that plays out tonight, is this garage being built?
No.
No, I mean, will you be building this garage? If we deny this variance, will you then say, I'm gonna switch gears, I'm gonna pivot, move this? Either way, will your neighbors have a garage that they're seeing regardless of how we proceed? Or if you can't put it here, are you do you plan on saying no garage? I know that's a tough question. I'm just trying to get to, is there going to be something viewable by your neighbors?
I've been talking with my architect on
Mhm.
different options, but that's what we're trying to avoid, building the garage that's gonna be far away from the house.
It's
And then it's gonna be a massive, massive concrete to add to the
sure.
property.
So it sounds
We
like
already have-
regardless, you will be building this garage. It just depends on where at this point. Is that is that
Well,
a fair
it's gonna-
statement?
It's gonna be, I'm not deciding right now.
And nor do you have to.
Garage,
I'm just
yes,
getting at
yes.
that
We need
You-
a garage.
yes.
That's gonna be accessible and easy to get in and out. We got more lights there,
Well lit.
if we, and it's more secure.
Mhm. Agree.
So that's what we're trying.
Thank you.
Thank-
Any other final comments from the board? Anything for the department? Seeing no final comments, we will close the proceeding for a vote. At this time, I'll call for a vote, a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Van Ness. Do we have a second to approve?
Mr. Chair, without a motion, without a second to the primary motion, it fails for the lack of the second. What the department would respectfully request is the board consider a postponement and ask the architect to potentially show those scenarios that Mr. Van Ness has identified where the placement of the building will impact additional green space or be facing toward the road and create a less aesthetic appealing approach. It can be just a simple line diagram on the plot plan. The postponement would give them time to think about the practical difficulty question that was asked by the board
Mhm.
and come back and do another presentation with additional information that may ultimately lead to a successful conclusion.
With that in mind, call for a vote to postpone. Yeah. Go ahead and do it.
Okay, I think that's a really great idea because I think what you're probably sensing is we'd love to say yes, but we feel a little uncomfortable at this point saying yes. So that being the case, I'm going to make a motion to postpone to give the petitioner the ability to consider other building locations. And I know it's a hassle, but you might want to even kind of check out what it would mean to see if you could get that road vacated. I mean, that's another option. Maybe it's a long shot, but then you could come back and maybe put that garage where you want it. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that, but my motion is to postpone the variance request.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Sprunger, for the motion to postpone. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Lux. This time we will call for a vote. Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Lux, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Van Ness?
Yes.
Mr. Sprunger?
Yes,
And I myself vote yes as well. So we'll postpone it. And please, as Director Vunich indicated, there's a few things that we would love to dig deeper into and look forward to hearing it again. Thank you. This time, Director Vunich, we'll move on to the next one.
Yes, sir. The second case tonight is BA 32-22, Brian DePriest, 1336 Homestead Heights Drive, Wildwood, Missouri, 63005. Requests an exception to the natural resource protection requirements for the purpose of retaining a portion of an existing fence, of which a corner of it is located in the natural resource protection area, and moving another area of it further back to accommodate landscaping around a new pool improvement, all being located upon the property at 1336 Homestead Heights Drive, locator number 22W 130035 Homestead Estates at Wildwood Subdivision Lot 41, which requires the relocation of a portion of the natural resource protection line and its associated 25-foot foundation setback line. The request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 420.200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the Subdivision and Development Regulations of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code as applied to properties located in the NU Non-Urban Resident District, Chapter 415.090, the Non-Urban Resident District Regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance, and Plan Residential Development Overlay Ordinance 1368, approved by the Wildwood City Council on August 13th, 2007. This request offers a 2-to-1 exchange of protected, non-protected area, 3,100 square feet in exchange for 1,500 square feet. This particular property is located in Ward 1. And as with the last case, before asking Ms. Keefe to come forward with the slide presentation, the department would like to introduce into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the department relative to this request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any evidence that is provided as part of tonight's hearing on this particular matter. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Ms. Keefe, any initial comments, and then we'll follow it with a brief slide presentation.
No initial comments. I'll just get started. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The next case this evening is also located in northwestern Wildwood in the Homestead Estate subdivision. And I believe Mr. Newberry is running his mouse over that area. You can see, well, those in the audience can see that we have Pond Road just to the northeast here. And I believe Riger Road was up in that corner. And I don't know what happened to my slides. My apologies. Okay. All right. The subject parcel in question is a 1.76 acre parcel. It is located in a planned residential development overlay district, which is characterized by smaller residential lots surrounded by large tracts of common ground, common area. This particular property is located in the southwest corner of Homestead Heights Drive and Homestead Run Drive. There is an existing single-family dwelling on this site located at the top of a small hill. There's about 12 feet of relief down to the road that descends, and then 28 feet of relief towards the rear of the residence that descends to the rear property line. The front portion of this property and surrounding the residence is grassy turf area, while the back of the property has a little bit more vegetation in the form of shrubs, small trees, and tall grasses. This is the front of the residence, standing on Homestead Heights Drive, looking southeast. And just to detail the request this evening, so this came about because the residents do have an existing fence that is currently in the natural resource protection area. It is in the grassy turf area of the yard, and I believe got erroneously placed in the natural resource protection area. So the petitioners this evening are looking to correct that. They are also requesting to move the natural resource protection line back a few feet so they can landscape around a new pool that has been permitted by this department and is currently in construction. So this landscaping would go just inside that fence. In exchange for that purple area up on the screen, they are proposing a 2-for-1 swap. So we would get 3,100 square feet in exchange for that purple area. in perhaps a more desirable location of the lot that does have more of that vegetation and is protecting a sloped area. The petitioners have also offered a landscape plan to the department and have offered to put in additional plantings in that area as well. This is a view of the rear of the residence and a portion of that area that's being proposed for a swap. This is looking northwest from Homestead Run Drive. This is the existing fence that is in the natural resource protection area, this corner of it. This is a view of the pool that is currently in construction. We're looking to the northeast. Into that back corner is that area proposed for swap. And then this is a view of that area, again, that would be swapped with that purple area. So this would be protected if this were approved. This is a view of the rest of the residential neighborhood. This is standing at the residence and looking northeast down Homestead Heights Drive. This is looking west. And then this is across the street from Homestead Run Drive at the northeastern neighbor. This is just a view from the rear to the front. There have been 4 similar variances approved in this subdivision for concerning natural resource protection area and relocating the line. 2 neighbors have voiced their support for the petitioner's request. They are of the same household on the same street. There have also been 2 neighbors, outside the immediate area of the residence that have voiced opposition. One of them was not featured on the map because they did submit their comment today, but you have that before you. And that concludes my presentation. Department staff are here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and we'll get you sworn in by the court reporter.
Thank you. I'm Brian DePriest, and I'm the owner of 1336 Homestead Heights Drive.
And Courtney, can you swear him in, please?
Here I am. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please proceed, Mr. DePriest.
Yes, so Robin did an excellent job explaining it. So we did just build a new pool, and actually, so the pool, so basically we're just wanting to move back from that final setback line on the left corner where the purple is. I just want to go back like 5 feet. And the main issue, it's kind of weird, on our property, the final cutback line over here on the right side, it like cuts across my yard. And that was all sodded by McBride when we bought the home. So I honestly had no clue about the final line. So over on the right side, you saw a picture. That's where my kids play. I have a trampoline, and on the other side of the fence is just a big grass area where we play soccer and stuff. So the protected area for my lot is kind of back behind the pool, and it's kind of wooded, and the woods kind of fizzle out a little bit, and behind the woods is the power lines. So what I would like to propose is I'll give back some of the area that was shown on the left side. And I would like to kind of pick up some area there so I don't have to move my fence, which would kind of cut into like my yard. So, and I will definitely do landscaping back in the protected area, put like evergreens and tall grasses once the project's done. That's about all I got.
Thank you, Mr. DePriest. Any This before we,
And yes, my fence right now looks really bad too. So whoever did my fence was, I don't know what was going on that day, but it is crooked that bad.
any questions from the board for Mr. DePriest?
Yeah, just one clarification question. So the area that was marked in purple, there is no trees or anything else that would be removed as part of this process. It's just
There
grass right now.
That is all grass.
Okay, so if we did grant the variance, we wouldn't be giving up any natural vegetation, trees, anything like that?
No trees at all. So where that is would absolutely work out perfect. I don't know if where that new fence line is, when it kind of comes back to that protected area.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, right there. If that just went straight across, that all in front of that is all like my yard and like soccer field. So really the line could just go straight across. I know it's proposed like that because we were trying to connect into the existing line, but all on that right side of my house is just flat and it's all sodded. It's just basically a soccer field. All the woods are behind.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments for the petitioner? Any speakers in the audience that may want to speak in favor or opposition of this request? Seeing none. Anybody would like to hear a oral presentation of the department's report? Any final comments from the department?
I'll just go ahead and speak here. The department is supporting this request. It's a pretty desirable swap. I think we're getting better than what we're losing. And additionally, we're potentially getting more plantings in that area as well. So we are supporting this request this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe. Director Bunich, any, you'd like to add? Any final comments from the board? All right, at this time, we will close the proceeding for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve, motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Can I sneak something in here real quick?
Yeah, so go ahead.
If the swap were to occur, does that have to be indicated, updated plat? It does.
Correct.
Okay, so if we approve this, it would need to be conditional on an updated plat indicating the new resource protection area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so,
Okay, I will withdraw.
well, you can just revise your.
And I'll let you go ahead and
revise it,
state
yeah.
it correctly. So no, that's fine.
Okay, well, okay, I just want to make sure we're doing this right, but
No,
anyway.
no, you're right.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve subject to an updated plat indicating the new natural resource protection area.
Do I have a second for that? I'll second it. Thank you, Mr. Morris. At this time, we have a motion to approve with the condition that that the deed is updated and submitted to St. Louis County. Let's close, or let's do the vote, and I'm sorry, Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Yes. Mr. Lux, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Van Ness,
Excuse me, yes.
Mr. Sprunger?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Congratulations, your variance is approved.
Why need to get like a new survey, I guess, done or? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This time we'll move to the third and final case for this evening. Is that correct?
It's all right, Mr. Chair. I will read this request into the record.
Please proceed.
All right, the next case is BA 3322, Bob Kelly, DBA Kelly and Sons, 19203 Brook Hollow Drive, Wildwood, Missouri, 63038. care of Richard Ridgely, Wild Horse Contracting LLC, 18100 Wild Horse Creek Road, Wildwood, Missouri, 63055. Requests an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of constructing a new single-family dwelling upon the property located at 26112 Walnut Avenue, locator number 23W 220261 Portner subdivision, lots 32 and 33, which would authorize side yard setback distances of 26 feet in lieu of the 30-foot standard. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Residence District Regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance, and this case is in Ward 1. And before Director Vunich gives a presentation on this matter with the chair's permission, the Department of Planning would like to offer into record the following as exhibits: the city's charter and master plan, the municipal code of the City of Wildwood, specifically Chapter 400, Article 2, the Board of Adjustments Establishment Duties and Powers, Chapter 415 zoning regulations, the file prepared and maintained on this request, including the petitioner's application and related information, as well as the department's recommendation report, and any testimony, exhibits, or other information offered as part of tonight's hearing as evidence in this case, and all of which may apply to the case before you this evening. With that said, Director Vunich has a brief side presentation for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Mr. Newberry is going to assist me on the slide presentation. And the first slide that's before you tonight is just the subject site relative to the surrounding area. Mr. Newberry is highlighting the 16,500 square foot lot. To the north of it, or to the top of the aerial, is Manchester Road. And in its vicinity is Wildwood Middle School, the Big Chief Roadhouse, etc. The next slide is a close-up of the petition property. Again, it's shown in the highlighted area. Property is located on Walnut Avenue, a private street, and is located on the east side of that particular street. The next slides are views of the existing single-family dwelling that is to be demolished. This is looking east from Walnut Avenue toward the front of the home. This is looking again from Walnut Avenue to the northeast at the side of the home. And this just steps back a little bit from that particular vantage point so you can see the yard area in association with that side. This is the rear of the existing single-family dwelling, and this is looking more in a northwesterly direction. And this is the final side or elevation of the dwelling. This is the north side looking toward the south. And again, just stepping back from Walnut Avenue, a view of the side elevation, the north side, and the surrounding area. There is an existing accessory structure on the property. It is in poor condition, but I thought I'd include it. This is looking at Walnut Avenue. This is from the subject site, which would be on the right-hand side of the slide, looking north. Again, Walnut Avenue now looking to the south. And the last few slides identify some of the surrounding properties and their use. This is at the southern terminus of Walnut Avenue, and two single-family dwellings are the closest uses and properties to the subject site. This is the property across Walnut Avenue from the subject site. It's a lot with a small pond. And this is the proposed site plan. The new dwelling is shown in the center, again with the proposed individual household treatment system. And then the variance request is for both side yards, which would be 26 feet in lieu of 30 feet. Thank you, Mr. Newberry. That gives you a better image of it. There was a question that was posed to the department, and I'll just identify it here. Is it a single story, a ranch, or two-story? And from petitioner's information, it is intended to be a ranch style house. And I believe that is the last of the slides that's been prepared for tonight. If there are any questions regarding the information provided, we'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Real quick
Makes
question,
sense.
the setback on the rear. Remind me, when there's a septic field involved, is it still a 30-foot setback, or is it supposed to be different than that?
Typically, we try to adhere to the 30-foot setback for the purposes of any type of individual household treatment system, particularly the tanks and the drain field. In instances where we have undersized lots, we typically try to maintain the 30-foot setback for the structures, the tanks themselves, but not the drain field.
Oh, but not the drain field.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the code doesn't treat these as typical structures. That's why the request that's before you tonight did not include the drain field itself. It's a variance or it's a waiver that can be granted by the department and the plumbing section of St. Louis County.
Okay, I'm sorry, Joe, the lines, these guys right here, that's not the leach field?
Yeah,
That
and what I'm
is.
saying is we don't, those aren't considered the structures themselves,
Oh.
so to speak.
Okay, okay,
I apologize if
yeah,
I'm confused.
I think I get that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Has a waiver been granted for the field?
No, sir. As part of the department's recommendation, it understands that it's an undersized lot and the ordinance, the zoning ordinance does allow for a new single-family dwelling to be constructed upon it, obviously without variances. However, our concern in this area far exceeds this particular lot. We have undersized lots that, for the most part, have poor soils. And there's a perch water table, at least on the Maple Avenue side of this particular area. And so tonight we're recommending denial because we don't have a good plan for wastewater treatment and we need one. I've talked to Mr. Kelly yesterday. We did a demolition inspection with the Historic Preservation Commission, Ms. Keefe and I, along with 3 of the members. And it is Mr. Kelly's intent to do the best system possible to address the wastewater requirements. We just don't know what that is. So to answer your question, no, we don't know what the county doesn't have a set of plans to grant their section, their approval, so to speak.
So to be clear, if the house were 4 feet narrower on both sides, and if the septic system, waste treatment system were 30 feet back, we wouldn't be here tonight.
Again, nothing relating to the individual household treatment system is advertised for the board's consideration tonight. What the department is asking is that without that information, there's a risk to approving the variance and allowing the dwelling to proceed forward. How I would describe it is we're putting the cart before the horse. We need to ensure as the city, so as we don't have ongoing problems like we have in this area, that wastewater is adequately treated. And without that information, the department just doesn't feel it's in a position to support the variances. Although the removal of the existing home would be an improvement to the street, and the construction of a new home would be a benefit not only to the property owner and those on the street, but Wildwood itself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director, to the property, and we'll get you sworn in by the court reporter.
Yes, Richard Ridgely, 18100 Wild Horse Creek Road, Wildwood, Missouri.
And
3005.
relation to the property,
I'm going to be the builder.
and we'll have Courtney swear you in, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Are you Mr. Kelly or
Yes, I am.
Mr. Kelly, if you could state your name, address in relation to the property, and then we'll get you sworn in as well.
My name is Robert Kelly and I just moved off Homestead and I gotta look up my address. Okay, I think it's 18-4 something. I can look it up if you'd like.
Sure.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I had the other address for 10 years. Two days ago. It is now. It is 18042 Homestead Manor Drive, Wildwood, Missouri 63005.
And did you state the relation to the to the
This
petition?
property, I am the
Yes.
owner.
Okay.
And my wife and the bank.
And go ahead and raise your right hand and we'll get you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ridgely and Mr. Kelly. If you guys could please state the nature of the request, the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance.
So we're trying to put a single family home relative to the double lot rather than a single. And we just think that it would fit adequately in the double lot with a single septic is, I don't know, rather than having single family homes there, we're gonna have a single family.
$1,300.
Yeah, 1,400. Just asking for the variance on each side. We think that house would adequately fit right in the center and be a upgrade to the area and to Wildwood.
And I'd
Yeah,
like to
please
say
proceed, Mr.
something. I'd like to, get this ball rolling. And here's what I would like to see happen tonight. I would like to see an approval based upon us getting a soil sample, finding out which system best fits for this area. And based upon the approval of the soil treatment and the septic field that I put in, have an approval to move forward so I can get my funding set up and get this ball rolling. That's what I request. I had a house off Woods Road, okay? I guaranteed a note for somebody and I took it back during the worst of times, a housing crash. And the septic was too close. It was grandfathered in when they built the house. Okay, and I know you're aware of it. Okay. I say, here, whatever I got to do. I put a high dollar system in there and made it right. I mean, I'm only going to do things one way. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to go through all the right channels. And then what do they call that system? You approved it. Yeah, I mean,
The actual, with the peak. And so it really didn't discharge out onto the surface.
but like I said, I'm going to do what it takes to make it right. But if it accepts a normal drain field, okay, by checking the soil, then it should be approved, based upon the septic field that will work for that house. Okay, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. And, like I said, I know there's a lot of issues with people's septics out there on the road behind me. Okay, and like I said, I'm not that. I'm trying to make an improvement to the area. I have Kelly Motors right in front of it, which I'm buying from an individual. Okay, and like I said, I want to see that area prosper and grow. And, I'm not doing it, really for the community. I'm doing it because I got the kids, I got to get through college and, I mean, here we all do. I mean, our grandkids, or I want to take care of it if I ever have them. So, you know, but like I said, I just think that the board should grant the approval of this, of what I'm trying to do based upon a proper septic system being put in. That's what I'm looking for tonight. Okay, and then I can go to my bank, which he's already said he, you know, go ahead and do something, but he wants to see the plans, you know, and I don't want to spend all the money, you know, or I have to come up and say, hey, can we just remodel it? Save a corner of the house and remodel it, you know, but I'm still gonna have the same problems with the septic. I gotta get it approved. And I'm not afraid to get it approved. Okay, that's what I wanted to, the right septic for the, you know, for the house. All I got. I just want to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Open up to the board's questions. Anybody have any questions?
So I want to
And I'd like to tear down the house for safety reasons. Okay, because, you know, it's winter time. I don't want vagrants in there. I don't want anything like that happening. So, you know,
we can probably tear the house down at any time, but
yeah,
okay, so to understand correctly what you said, you would be perfectly fine with accepting the requirement that the septic system that would be appropriate for that lot would need to be approved by the city.
by the city.
That'd be Wildwood, yeah. I mean, by the department
City and county, St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, but
or the county. I mean, whoever.
Yeah,
whoever
based upon the
approves.
recommendations of the, you know,
Relation.
of the perk tests and everything else that you have to do, you know, if I'm gonna hire Ron Carr, okay, I know he's done a lot of business, you know, a lot of dealings in St. Louis and every place else. He's been in business for, I've known Ron for probably 40 years. And, you know, like I said, I know that's his field, and like he said, Bob, I gotta do soil samples, I gotta do this, I gotta present it, you know, say this is my recommendation for a septic field. Based upon a good recommendation, I'll even get a second recommendation if you'd like one and pay the money.
No, I think what we're just trying to get our arms around is, you know, you're very willing to accept the condition, if we would approve this, that you have to present a septic system
Yeah.
that would meet
Most definitely.
the city
Here,
slash
I'm gonna
county's
move
approval.
forward. I mean, I want to get it, I'm gonna do it right.
Okay,
We already got it scheduled, but we would have it here with us today, but it hasn't been performed yet.
So I mean, I would want you to know that I'm gonna, you know, have the right septic field put in.
just, okay, if we were to do that and turns out that there's a
I'm
real.
not gonna build the house
Okay.
until,
No, I understand that. But if we were to approve it with that condition and you start doing things because you feel like you're going to get a system that works, is there any chance? Because you'd be maybe taking a little bit of risk here, but is there any chance that there's a septic system that would not be acceptable on that lot?
I know for a fact, because I did a lot of septic research. The system I put down there, I want to spend 20,000 instead of 9,000. I can get done. Am I right, Joe?
So from the
I'm
department's perspective, there probably would be a solution. It just depends on what that solution looks like.
Well, in the instance that Mr. Kelly keeps referencing, it's a home on Woods Road. And it's the kind of bungalow that basically backs to a cliff. And so there really was no soil to build a septic system onto. And that's why we had to go to that, what I would consider almost like a package system that didn't discharge. In this instance, all the department is concerned about is if the board were to grant the variance without the condition that the city approve the system, then what we end up with is the minimum requirements that the plumbing code requires for the septic system. And in this instance, we've had systems put in at the minimum requirements on Maple Avenue and they didn't work. And so we just want to make sure that if a house is constructed on the lot, that we have a system that actually works and isn't going to basically fail within the first month or the first 6 months because it's just the minimum requirement.
Got it. Okay. And then, so there's that concern. How did the department feel about the side setbacks.
I believe in the report I mentioned, if we had a good septic system plan for the treatment of wastewater, we would endorse the variances.
Yeah, because this is a really small lot. I mean, it is like, oh,
It's
Yeah, 100
feet wide.
yeah, I mean, it's like, until you figure in the setbacks, you get, I did the
Twice as
calculation,
high.
it's like 3,400 square feet is all you got to work with. And it's like, that is not very much room. Okay, so the department's fine with the side setback thing. Is the main concern is the septic.
And just so you know, we've struggled internally. Department of Administration, Department of Public Works, and the Department of Planning, we have occupied homes in that general vicinity where there is no wastewater treatment. And we've had MDNR, we've had St. Louis County Department of Public Health, and the options are very few. And so building a new home without the guarantee that we have a system that works is just, it would be reckless on the part of the city.
Right.
And so if the board is inclined, we just want the latitude to get the best system we can that works for the property owner. So he's not investing in vain.
Right, okay, thank you for that clarification. That helps a lot.
Any other comments, questions, concerns for the petitioner?
I guess for Joe, can we approve it with proper wording that you would like?
Yes, sir. You certainly can.
Because I don't know the wording. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I think we can do that. I mean.
also, is there sanitary up on Manchester, sanitary sewer?
We spent a great deal of time several years ago trying to extend public sewer all the way out to Wildwood Middle School, which would have benefited Maple and Walnut. We just couldn't get enough of the residents to support it because it would have had to been property owner funded, a community improvement district, so to speak. And so we're still struggling with package systems that serve like Living Word Church, Wildwood Middle School, and then systems on individual lots in some instances that are too small to really accommodate it.
I was chairman of the sanitary sewer committee, so
That's right, I forgot. I apologize.
I just didn't remember whether we went out that far. I know we wanted to,
We
but
sure do, and we haven't given up on it yet either.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Any speakers in the audience who may want to speak in favor or opposition of this request? Please come forward, sir. Please state your name, address.
Michael Morans, 3002 Woodlands Terrace Drive, Glencoe 63038. I own,
Just a moment, we'll have the court reporter swear you in. Please raise your right hand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
I own 0.48 acres on Maple on the far side. So it'd be the east side. I know they've got a lot of problems over there with septic. And I know in between there, the ditch, as it goes further down, it's just soaking wet. So, I mean, I honestly don't think you're going to be able to have a septic that's going to take it. I think they've got a problem over there, and I'm on the far side, and I don't even think I could build. And it was just an investment that I bought. So, you know, we looked at when they were talking about sewer, and yeah, I mean, you got small lots in there. I got a double lot, but some of these are, you know, 1/8 acre, and then they got families, and they're dumping all that water in Walnut and Maple. They got a ditch right in between their properties. So, and I walked back in there And it's just, it's wet.
Hmm.
Stinks. So, I mean, I'm all for being able to build something, but really, Wildwood's somebody's gonna have to do something about sewer. Because it's really unsafe. And there's kids all down that street. And they're walking in that, wet slop. So anyway, that's I just don't think you can get a system in there to soak it up in that land.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns? I guess I'd ask the petitioner, is that I wouldn't know the answer. Is that a possibility that you're going to get an answer back that
I'm the
says
second
there
house.
is no
I'm the
solution?
second house from
Mhm.
the road.
Mhm.
Okay, from the front of the road going down. I've heard they got a lot of issues. There's a lot of rental property on the street behind us, a lot of rental property. And it's off Maple. And, I mean, here I do know that if I had a septic problem, they would come to me. You guys would come to me or somebody would, and I would have to get it fixed, or you'd put a lien on my property. Okay, and get it fixed for me. I know that's how that works. Okay, and like I said, it's an issue that, like he said, needs to be addressed. Okay, I don't feel that it's gonna hurt my spot in it because I'm up top right by the road, right by Big Chief, just 3 lots back. One's a vacant lot. Randy, can't think of his last name, lives right there. And my lot's right next to it. Then it falls off. Okay, and goes down. I'm just trying to start something. I'm trying to maybe, start where people can start maybe rebuilding. Like he said, I'd like to build on it, but I can't because there's issues. I mean, that aren't getting addressed. I'm willing to address my issue, okay, and put the right system in. And it all starts with one, then you come to two.
The fact that we're building on a double lot and these houses that you're speaking of are on Maple,
Yeah,
they're
they're on
single
single lots.
They're on single
They're
lots.
50-foot lot.
And we're putting the minimum baths in there. It's gonna be an upgrade for the area, for the house. And like I said, if the percolation doesn't come back and we can't get a septic tank, we're not gonna sell a house with a septic.
And we're gonna go to another system that
You
works.
know, leaching out into the field. I mean, that's just not gonna happen. And if it is, it's a waste of our time, obviously.
But I
to
do
do something
agree
like
that
that, so.
that does have to trust. I mean, but
You're higher.
Yeah.
and Further down.
Oh.
it's Better.
And they have a drip system too that, that can be installed in there. I mean, it covers a little bit more area, but I'm not a septic specialist by no means. But I have done several houses in Chesterfield where that was the case due to the percolation test, and no aroma, nothing was, there was no issues with it. But like I said, we can get the soil test and see what adequately, would work for this home in that area and that size. That's why we're going to a single family and a double lot. So we're not trying to smash a bunch of septic systems into this area. We're actually trying to maybe set a precedence on, hey, tear a couple houses down and build something new. If some people move, I don't know, but this is, we want to try to see if this works for us.
Any other questions, comments?
One more question, just to make sure that your effort wouldn't sort of go, is there any initiative, study, plans for putting in sewer that would negate the need for the septic? Or at this time, is that the city's recommendation?
Or
I think Walnut would do it.
the Ms. Keith, along with a group called our Route 66 initiative, have been looking at a number of issues along Manchester Road, which is formerly Route 66. The department sees it as another opportunity to talk about extending public sewer. So it's a key component of what I would consider a revitalization initiative along the route. So we haven't given up yet. From the department's perspective, even if we were to begin that today or tomorrow, and it's it's a year or years away. That's why the department is so concerned that whatever happens on Maple and Walnut, given the lot sizes and what we know in terms of history, we get the best system possible, and that may not be the minimum requirements of the plumbing code. And the petitioner needs to know that if the city asks for an upgrade and it may be more expensive, it's not because we're trying to stop the construction of the dwelling. We're trying to preserve the public health.
And you, in the wording would be that your department would approve that.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And
I have faith in him, knowing if I got a right system.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
so-
you know, like I
so-
said, I mean,
so that scenario
it's something
would be-
that needs to be addressed.
that scenario would be acceptable to you, knowing that there's things down the road, but you're still willing to make that initial investment because we could be a year, 2, 3 years removed.
Right, because sewers are gonna be a long time coming.
Okay.
Because you get, like I said, you got a lot of rentals and unfortunately, you know, there's not a lot of inspections on them at all. There should be.
So essentially, this is keeping the ball moving in an effort to get where we want to go. Winter's coming. You said your desire is to
I'd like to get it done.
get it down and get the existing structure down. So this is simply putting a step there that ensures that the next step is the proper one for Wildwood, for you, for the street. Okay.
So the board is clear. The department does not object to the variances. 26 feet on either side of the proposed dwelling is a substantial setback down there from a side yard perspective. It's really just, again, 26 feet of setback, not a 26-foot reduction. They're only asking for 4 feet on either side. But it's just really, it focuses on wastewater treatment, making sure that we do the best we can.
Now's the time to put a mechanism that ensures everybody's.
Can I ask one question to him?
Absolutely.
If I put the system I put on Woods Road, I wouldn't have a problem, would I?
That's my impression.
Okay.
But that's a very, very expensive system.
Yeah, But I'm just saying, I mean, I know that I could move forward based upon,
You understand the.
I understand that there is a system and what the worst case scenario can be.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that's all, you know, I know what the worst case is the system I put in down there.
Is there a worst case, Joe, that there's
No.
not, I mean,
Yeah, no, this system.
you
works.
believe that there's a system out there for this?
I know that the minimum requirements hasn't worked down there. I know the system basically that Mr. Kelly installed on Woods Avenue
With next to no soil, so.
with no soil worked. So there's probably somewhere in between
Okay.
there. But I don't feel comfortable for the department to recommend a variance without the petitioner knowing that
A worst
the
case.
That could be
minimum
my
may
worst
not
case
be met.
scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because here-
That's.
Because he didn't approve some of the other septic, you know, septic systems that we presented. You know, this is the one that they approved.
And the worst case scenario appears to work fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right. Would anybody like to hear an oral presentation of the department's report? Seeing none, any final comments from the department?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think the department's been clear.
Hmm.
It would support the variance or the side yard setbacks as long as the department's given the latitude to ensure the best system for wastewater treatment is installed on the lot. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
can say that in our approval.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we will close the proceeding for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve with the following condition. That an acceptable wastewater treatment plan be submitted to the Department of Planning. And they must approve that.
Do I have a second for that motion? Second, thank you, Mr. Lux. Mr. Morris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Lux, how do you vote? Mr. Van Nest,
Yes.
Mr. Sprunger?
Yes.
And I myself vote yes as well. Congratulations, your variance is approved with the conditions stated. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Good luck. Best of luck. I believe that is the final case or petition for this evening.
You can stay, but we're.
Yeah.
I think Ms. Keefe, Mr. Newberry, and I would like to wish you all the best holiday, Thanksgiving holiday, and
Yes.
have a very safe and happy holiday.
Thank you as well.
I'm getting tired thinking it's 9:30.
It does say that.
By at least an hour.
At this time, we will officially close